I'm Chris Farrell, and this is On Watch. Welcome to On Watch, everybody, the Judicial Watch podcast, where we go behind the headlines to cover news and information that the mainstream media really does not want you to know about. We try to recover some lost history and explain the inexplicable. Today, I've got a great treat for you. We have a returning guest, our good friend, the ambassador from Paraguay, my friend and colleague, Gustavo Leite. Gustavo, welcome back to On Watch.
Chris, audience, thank you very much for having me again.
Yep.
This reminds me of Forrest Gump when he says, then I got to go to the White House again. So I come here again. Thank you very much. I feel at home. And I have with me two distinguished colleagues of mine. They are senators, but I am a senator on leave.
Right.
The president of our legislative branch, Senator Basilio Núñez.
Welcome, President Núñez.
The current Minister of Housing, who is Senator Juan Baruja, and we're in Washington for a special mission, is to show the message, pass the message that Paraguay is ready to be a real partner of the U.S. and to invite the minimum 30,000 Paraguayan emigres here
right.
to have their own home in Paraguay, to be paid in many installments.
There's a lot of information that Americans really need to know about Paraguay. First of all, a fascinating history, a very unique culture, literally in the very heart of South America. There's tradition, there's the culture itself, a history, but there's a very important ideological alignment, a very important set of values that your country and our country, we hold together, we believe in. You're a uniquely conservative country. You have close relationship and friendship with Israel, with Taiwan. You're really uniquely positioned in the continent of South America to be a very strong ally for the United States. Just talk a little bit about that sort of long tradition of not just conservatism, but of loyalty and the good relationship with the United States.
Well, the story with the United States has a very good onset. At some point, we thought that a boat going up a river, a U.S. boat, was to invade us. And we thought, well, we have to fight with it.
Right.
But that was a skirmish. And after the big war that we had with our neighbors,
yes,
1865 through 1870,
a devastating war.
Devastating. We lost 90% of our male population,
right.
And the country was rebuilt by strong women.
Yeah.
We had a limit dispute with Argentina. Argentina claimed a big chunk of our territory, 1/6 of our territory. And finally, they decided to submit it to the President of the United States
right.
for an arbitration. The President was an Ohioan, a man from Ohio, Rutherford B. Hayes.
Right.
And Rutherford B. Hayes said, this belongs to Paraguay. So ever since then, the west of Paraguay is associated with Presidente Hayes. We call him Presidente Hayes, President Hayes. Senator Núñez is from the town of President Hayes. Yes. Villa Hayes, Villa Hayes.
That's fantastic.
So it's many coincidences. And ever since then, we thought of the U.S. as a good friend. But then I think that after the Second War, in 1945, there was a new world order.
Yep.
And ever since then, we accompanied the U.S. As I said to President Trump, we see you as our bigger brother. You are the beacon of democracy. We want to be a vibrant democracy. But when I told him that we are a country of 6 million, pro-U.S., pro-Israel, pro-Taiwan, because we believe in freedom.
Right.
In Paraguay, the second thing is freedom. And we are going to grow 6% this year with 4% inflation, with the same floating free exchange rate as in 23 years ago, with poverty decreased by 50% in the last 25 years and 10% income tax. Then they say, oh, that's the dream country. Are we the dream country? No. Do we have problems? Yes. Is there corruption in Paraguay? Yes, we have to address it. We need help from everybody. But I think that one thing is clear about Paraguay. We don't want to be like Venezuela or Cuba. We want to be like Taiwan. We want to be like South Korea. We want to be like Singapore. And why not? Be a strong power with the U.S. So the prosperity that the U.S. enjoys is something that we like to share. We want to be partners in prosperity. So that's the new Paraguay today.
Yeah, and I think that the Trump-Rubio sort of doctrine, right, or their approach to the entire hemisphere, because we're hemispheric partners. In 2013, John Kerry was our Secretary of State, and he made a horrible speech. He was at the Organization of American States, and he said, the Monroe Doctrine is dead. He broke, they misinterpreted a bad doctrine, and then they broke it. It was like compounded double errors. And I think the Trump-Rubio approach to our partners, our real friends, our hemispheric brothers, is much more realistic and much more effective. So I know that your colleagues have come here for a couple of different important missions. Maybe we can talk a little bit about the new opportunities.
Shoot.
So, housing is a big issue in the United States. We have our own affordability issues and our own sort of market issues in real estate. It touches on the economy, on banking, on property ownership. But you have a new initiative, which I think is fascinating when it comes to emigres and housing in Paraguay and folks that are here in the United States coming home. Can you, perhaps the Housing Ministry can explain a little bit about that, or you can discuss it?
Let me translate
Sure,
your question or your
please.
statement. Aquí en Estados Unidos el tema de la vivienda es un tema muy discutido, sobre todo la capacidad de pago, affordability. Es un tema que divide y hasta genera discusiones entre los demócratas y los republicanos. Y él dice que la iniciativa nuestra de venir a ofrecer un producto para que los paraguayos que viven aquí puedan tener una jubilación digna en Paraguay es una iniciativa absolutamente innovadora y quiere conocer más de qué se trata.
Muchas gracias. Una de las ambiciones más importantes que tiene una familia en el Paraguay es tener una vivienda propia. Muchos de los compatriotas están acá en Estados Unidos y en otros países con la expectativa de generar ingresos para comprar su vivienda en el Paraguay. Entonces, teniendo en cuenta ese deseo, es que el gobierno ha preparado un plan de vivienda exclusivamente para los paraguayos residentes en el extranjero y venimos con esa intención a conversar y a ofrecer a nuestros compatriotas la posibilidad que pueda comprar su vivienda en el Paraguay trabajando aquí en Estados Unidos. Con el ingreso que tiene acá en Estados Unidos va a pagar por su vivienda para cuando regrese tenga una casa propia.
How much of that did you get?
Because of our earlier discussions, I have a pretty good understanding.
Okay,
But
do I need to translate for the American audience?
Maybe a few highlights.
Okay, what Juan Carlos, our Minister of Housing, just said is the greatest ambition of every family all over the world is to have their own home.
Sure.
And people from Paraguay who came to the U.S. came to work, looking for better horizons. And what the government has done is to design a product to invite them to retire in Paraguay and pay while they work here. And we are going to meet with our colleagues, countrymen in Washington, in Chester, Pennsylvania, where tomorrow Paraguay plays a friendly soccer game with the U.S.
Which is a very fun idea.
Yes,
That's a great
and
idea.
then we're going to do it in New York, and then we're going to do it in Miami as well. The idea is to present the product, listen to the feedback, and
Right.
then come with the final product. But the basic idea is while they work here, they can pay for their home, and the home can be already occupied by a family member. So somebody is working here, the grandma or the mother or the son can already live in that house while they are paying.
It's really a fantastic initiative. It's very ingenious. It's a great new idea, and I think it encourages hard work, but it also encourages ownership at home, right? Which is very important.
Él cree que es una idea brillante, muy innovadora, que trae también el beneficio, digamos, de que el trabajo duro genera beneficios en nuestro propio país.
Basilio, what is your greatest objective? What is your chief, I guess, mission in your visit here now to the United States?
¿Cuál es tu principal misión, tu principal objetivo en esta visita a Estados Unidos?
Bueno, antes que nada, agradecerte el espacio, Christopher. Y la principal misión es acompañar al colega senador y embajador en el sentido de hacer conocer nuestro país, afianzar lazos con el gobierno americano, que el gobierno americano sepa que en Sudamérica hay un país pequeño que se llama Paraguay y que es un país predecible, que valora la libertad, valora la soberanía, valora la democracia y de por sí es un país conservador que respeta la familia, que cree en un Dios y principalmente eso. Entonces venimos para tratar también de conocer a colegas senadores, hacer diplomacia parlamentaria, como había dicho, acompañar la gestión del ministro Baruja, que también es senador, porque esas familias en algún momento hasta pueden querer retornar. Entonces esta primera oportunidad, afianzar lazos con el gobierno del presidente Trump, con los legisladores, sean republicanos, demócratas, pero que tengan nuestro mismo pensamiento. Y también tener en cuenta que Paraguay puede ser atractivo para los inversores americanos.
Wow. I have to warn the audience that I'm not a translator. I was not trained as a translator. I'll try to do a free translation because there's so many things and I don't have the training to get them all. Well, basically, what President Núñez said is that he's here to accompany the efforts that we're doing from the embassy into getting the U.S. to know us. In order to get partnerships, you have to know your partner. Paraguay is a conservative, God-fearing, hard-working country, very conservative, very free. In Paraguay, we cherish freedom very much. So his main objective is to get in contact with legislative and State Department authorities to tell them the story of Paraguay and continue this work that we're doing to get closer to the U.S. And that's basically what I can get from my
your fast summary.
It's very hard to follow everything because I see that translators write things. I don't have anything to write on, so please forgive me if I didn't translate everything.
Well, it's the other burden is you have very smart guys, and they have a lot of ideas and a lot of thoughts, and so it's tough to get it all summarized.
Dice que ustedes son muy inteligentes y tienen muchas ideas y tiran todo y es muy difícil traducir todo. Bueno, pero hacemos lo que podemos. In Paraguay we say we do what we can. Well, hacemos lo que podemos.
You're a friend of mine and I admire you greatly, so I will, full disclosure, I'm already prejudiced in your favor, but Paraguay made a very good decision when they chose you as ambassador because you're the kind of guy who communicates very effectively, and you also make it very clear that there's a great relationship, there's great potential, right? There's this sort of unrealized, untapped potential, and you're trying to make the most of it. And I think that's a really great
Dice
thing.
que como él es mi amigo, ya nos hicimos amigos con el tiempo, ¿verdad? Desde que nos conocimos en Hungría, en CEPAC. Y bueno, y él ya es medio que va a decir siempre a favor que yo estoy haciendo un gran trabajo y demás, pero que es bueno que yo esté aquí, que Paraguay eligió bien, porque es una persona, soy en teoría, según dice él, ¿verdad? Una persona que comunica muy bien los conceptos y que Paraguay necesita hacer saber a Estados Unidos todo el potencial que tenemos para ser un socio donde podamos compartir la prosperidad, ¿verdad?
Muy bien.
There's a lot of pressure on countries around the world, particularly in Central and South America. The Chinese, the communist Chinese, come in very hard, very strong. They offer these sweetheart deals that make it almost impossible to say no. How is it that Paraguay has been able to successfully say no and stay loyal to Taiwan?
Hay una presión muy grande en América Latina, sobre todo de China comunista, de unos ofrecimientos muy dulces para ser amigos de China continental o China comunista y dejar a Taiwán. ¿Cómo hace Paraguay o cómo hizo Paraguay para mantenerse leal a Taiwán?
Bueno, sobre ese punto yo creo que muy importante la pregunta. Paraguay y Taiwán tienen 68 años de amistad. 68 años de amistad, entonces Paraguay es un país, repito, predecible y donde se tiene en cuenta también la relación de amistad que hay entre países. No es una cuestión nomás de venir a hacer ofrecimientos económicos y con eso va a torcer la voluntad, ya sea del Parlamento paraguayo o del Ejecutivo paraguayo. Por detrás hay una historia ya de cooperación en varios ámbitos. Un ejemplo está acá el ministro de Urbanismo, ¿verdad? La cantidad de viviendas que se ha construido ya, y eso tiene una validez muy importante en Paraguay. Tu gestión con el presidente Cartes, Gustavo, en periodos anteriores, donde se instaló una universidad que está formando profesionales. Entonces, de alguna forma, en la parte intelectual también, gente que está trabajando en diversas empresas. Entonces, es difícil que China continental llegue a torcer eso. Y termino con esto. Nosotros hasta vemos con preocupación el lobby que está haciendo China continental, el avance que tuvo con la Argentina, pero ahora vemos positivamente que Milei de alguna forma está poniendo fin a eso.
We have 68 years of friendship with Taiwan.
Mm-hmm.
And during that friendship, or during those years, we have seen advances. Like, for instance, housing. Taiwan is a big contributor for Paraguayan families to have their own homes via grants. He mentioned one initiative that we had when President Cartes was president or was minister, is to create this Polytechnic University in cooperation with Taiwan Tech, by which we get the 100 most intelligent Paraguayans for free to be educated and become engineers. 4 semesters at home, 3 semesters in Taipei, 1 semester at home, they become engineers, world-class engineers, and now we can ask the world or invite the world to come to do real projects in Paraguay with Asian-style, English-speaking and Mandarin-speaking engineers.
Right.
I'm doing a little bit of salt and pepper to his
sure,
declarations.
Sure.
And what he's saying is that because of those results and because of our nature of being recognized, we recognize the friendship with Taiwan. He sees very hard that is taken away or that is, captured by Communist China. And I want to add something more. I had an interview with Wall Street Journal the other day, 57 minutes. And I recorded the interview because at some point it's going to be...
and you'll be misquoted.
No, just in case.
Just joking.
But what I said is, for years, we were taught the idea of morals, of values, of doing the right thing. So if we declare we want to be a vibrant, free democracy, how are we going to have a relationship with the dictatorship?
Right.
First thing. Second thing, you see the results of the countries, and I don't want to name them, that used to be friends with Taiwan and switched to China, lured by that sweet talk that you mentioned, and then all of a sudden they got worse off. So under no circumstances we see a benefit. It's not good for a country to step on the values, and it's not good for a country to go and move to a situation where they're going to be worse off economically. So that's more or less what President Núñez said and what I added.
Yeah, and I want to add my own note here, and this is for both the American and Paraguayan audience, and that is that I'll give you 2 examples. In Argentina, the Chinese have a satellite station in the south of the country, and it's run by the People's Liberation Army. Their rocket forces, their missile forces, run a ground station in Argentina that's capable of monitoring satellite communication. This is crazy.
Let me translate. And I have to admit that I forgot something that he said. He said that Argentina was very much pro China, and he sees positively what President Milei is doing, trying to reverse that course.
The Kirchners.
In line with what you said, él dice que en Argentina, por ejemplo, en el sur de Argentina, hay una estación de monitoreo satelital. Y dice, ¿cómo en el medio de Sudamérica o sea, hay cosas que he totally agrees with the...
They pretend,
he's been there.
Yeah, they pretend it's a scientific, just civilian operation. It's not. It's run by the Army.
I just finished reading the book by Senator Tom Cotton.
Yeah.
It's called 7 Things You Can't Say About China. And I recommend it to all my colleagues because what he explains there in each aspect of how China operates. Listen, we're not going to go to war with China. We just have to know who they are and what they are for.
Exactly.
That's it. Lo que le digo nomás que yo les recomiendo, a usted les recomendé ya el libro de Tom Cotton, las 7 cosas que no se deben decir sobre China. Y ahí él explica, ¿verdad?, cómo actúa China. Tampoco nosotros vamos a ir a una guerra con China y demás, pero tenemos que saber de qué se trata cada cosa para proteger nuestros intereses.
No, y agregar nomás, Gustavo, China continental, por un lado, propone acordar con ellos es endeudamiento, pérdida de tu soberanía. Un ejemplo que lo que pasó en Argentina y que se está de alguna forma recuperando es la hidrovía que ellos también quisieron apoderarse y que nosotros estamos en otra línea ahora.
What President Núñez says is that China also offers soft loans, but in reality what it is loss of sovereignty.
Yes.
Which is what happened in Argentina. In our waterways, for instance, they wanted to get in big time. Yeah. And we say, no, we're going to... We prefer to have partners from up north, which is here.
Another example, I believe it was Honduras. I can't swear to this, but I believe it was Honduras. They said that they wanted 5G. They wanted, internet communications and cell phone coverage. And so they made a deal with China. And what they don't realize is when the Chinese signal company comes, it's not a signal company.
It's a spy company.
It's the People's Liberation Army. It's a military signals intelligence unit that shows up, and they put up and it works beautifully. It works beautifully because the Chinese want to get the intelligence from the communications network.
Chris dice que cree que es Honduras, no. Puede ser que se equivoque, pero en un país de Centroamérica, China les ofreció la red 5G. Pero que en realidad la red 5G está monitoreada desde China por el Ejército de Liberación chino y que funciona espectacular, pero te captan toda tu comunicación y toda tu información. Nosotros, we fought very hard so that China didn't get the 5G in Paraguay.
Right.
And we didn't give it to them.
Here's the other problem, is that when you get in an argument with them, because at some point in the contract, there's an argument, right? Where do you go? What court do you go to where you're going to get a fair judgment and the Chinese will pay you?
It was my line because I always said to Paraguayan industrialists, where would you sue them if they don't pay you?
Right.
Él dice que cuando hay una disputa, porque en los contratos siempre puede haber disputa, ¿dónde vas a dirimir tu disputa? Con ellos. Sí. Entonces yo le digo, esa fue mi línea siempre cuando yo era ministro, espectaculares, pero ¿dónde vamos a dirimir si no me pagan los chinos? ¿Dónde le vamos a demandar? ¿En qué corte? Esto no tenemos cómo.
I want to talk a little bit about Paraguayan domestic, your own internal housing challenges. I think your initiative for Emigre and New Homes is brilliant. What's the greatest challenge for your housing minister? What's the greatest challenge domestically on housing?
Quiero hablar un poquito sobre el desafío doméstico de las viviendas. ¿Cuál es el mayor desafío que tenés en tu gestión, ministro Baruja?
Sí, en el Paraguay tenemos un déficit habitacional de aproximadamente 1 millón de viviendas. Tanto déficit cualitativo y cuantitativo, ¿verdad? En este gobierno del presidente Peña se está priorizando la posibilidad de otorgar vivienda a las familias paraguayas, principalmente a la clase trabajadora, con un programa que es el programa Xerogaporá, que hoy por hoy ofrece un financiamiento hasta 30 años de plazo a la tasa del 6.5% en guaraníes, que es la tasa más baja de toda la región de América. Hoy por hoy Se ha ampliado el monto del préstamo hasta 609 millones de guaraníes y eso es lo que permite que la cuota sea similar a la cuota de un pago de un alquiler. Entonces el objetivo es que las familias que están viviendo en alquiler pasen a ser propietarios pagando un monto similar al alquiler. En esto 1 año o 4 meses ya de vigencia del programa, tenemos aproximadamente 4.000 familias que ya están con créditos preaprobados y en análisis de aprobación. Es un programa que es ya teniendo un resultado muy exitoso. Hay familias que ya están dejando la casa de sus familiares y las casas de alquileres para vivir en su propia vivienda. Y es por ello al éxito que hoy llegamos hasta Estados Unidos para dar respuesta a nuestros compatriotas que dejaron nuestro país principalmente con el objetivo y el propósito de que al retornar tengan su propia vivienda, y venimos a ofrecerle este programa que va a permitir cumplir ese sueño de que si deciden regresar al Paraguay, ellos tienen ya una vivienda que les está esperando.
The greatest challenge for me is to translate everything that he said. So again, with a little bit of disclaimer, in Paraguay there is a deficit of about 1 million homes, especially in the working class. The program that this government of President Peña designed and is run by Minister Baruja is to provide the working class the opportunity to buy a home, to be paid in up to 30 years at rent prices.
Okay.
But under no subsidies. It's a 6.5% interest rate in our currency, which is the lowest in the region.
Right.
They already have 4,000 families who have left renting, going to their own homes.
Right.
And that's why he decided to bring it here to the U.S. and to present it to our countrymen that are here. And the idea is that when they want or when they retire, they get their own homes there. But in reality, the main thing is to switch competitively without subsidies from paying rent to buying your own home at the same installment every month. And he said that the result is already evident because many families who used to live with their grandmas or they used to live with renting, now they're moving to their own home. So it's a very successful program so far.
That's fantastic because there's a trend here in the United States where, because of this affordability issue and the cost of homes and the very high interest rates, that people are not able to purchase homes like they used to. So I think statistically over the years, maybe people were buying their first home in their late 20s, early 30s, young couples. Mm-hmm. Now it's 40. That's a big jump. And it suppresses the market, and that has a ripple effect. And so to see you going in the opposite direction is actually very encouraging.
What I didn't mention, because sometimes I forget, and now I remember, Minister Baruja mentioned that our government put up the limit up to the equivalent of $90,000. Up to $90,000 for your first home, you have this special loan. What we have a special is the loan, and is a long term to repay.
Right.
Él menciona que en Estados Unidos el tema de la posibilidad, de la capacidad de pago para la vivienda no es la misma que hace a otras épocas, que antes normalmente una pareja a los 30 años compraba su primera casa. Hoy, porque la vida se puso más dura, eso comienza recién a los 40. Entonces eso tiene un efecto multiplicador negativo porque hay menos casas, porque hay menos oportunidades y más, y que ver que Paraguay está yendo en la dirección contraria de poner a disposición de la gente competitivamente, porque no hay subsidios aquí, era un tema de conseguir buenas tasas el desafío, que es algo muy refrescante ver que en otros países está haciendo. ¿Quería decirlo?
No.
I want to also touch on the special relationship that you have with Israel. We see growing anti-Semitism. We also see some positive signs, though. In the United States, domestically, we have a problem. Our militant left, these are crazy people, in my opinion. They believe they're Bolsheviks. This is a political philosophy that's unsustainable and only leads to oppression. And they subscribe to that kind of anti-Semitism almost uniformly. But there's been progress. We see President Trump's made great progress bringing peace in between Israel and Gaza and settling that. It's not perfect, but it's beginning. We see the Abraham Accords. What is Paraguay's relationship with Israel, and how have you fostered and maintained that?
Quiere hablar sobre la relación especial que Paraguay tiene con Israel. En Estados Unidos él ve que hay un antisemitismo creciente, sobre todo en los sectores radicales de izquierda, que son abiertamente antisemitas, pero que él ve también un aire bueno en la administración del presidente Trump, que ha logrado acabar la guerra que había entre Israel y Gaza. No es perfecto, pero se acabó la hostilidad, digamos, el día a día. Y quiere entender cómo y por qué nosotros tenemos una relación especial con Israel.
Bueno, para empezar, el experto de acá, Gustavo, pero permitime adelantar. Paraguay es amigo de Israel. Ya hay una historia sobre eso. Yo tengo un hermano que viajó a Israel a capacitarse hace 30 años atrás. O sea que hay lazos familiares también. Pero recordar de que nosotros, Gustavo y Juan Carlos, provenimos de un equipo político amigo de Israel. Cuando trabajamos con el presidente Cartes, y tengo que acordarme de esto, fue el presidente que decidió el traslado de la embajada de Israel, de Tel Aviv, a Jerusalén. Fue el primero. Fue en el año 2018.
21 de mayo de 2018.
21 de mayo de 2018. Posteriormente, creo que el presidente que siguió lo trasladó nuevamente, dejó sin efecto, pero actualmente el nuevo presidente, que es de nuestro mismo equipo político, de nuestro mismo partido, hizo lo mismo. Y nosotros confiamos que Jerusalén es la capital de Israel, y la cooperación que hay de Israel con Paraguay también ya hace años. Es parecido a lo de Taiwán, hay años de amistad. Y es lo que puedo adelantar.
President Núñez says that the relationship with Israel, as with Taiwan, comes from long data.
Right.
Paraguay voted for the state of Israel in 1947 in the United Nations. Ever since then, the cooperation going was very good. He mentioned that he has a brother that studied in Israel 30 years ago.
Huh.
So the cooperation that Israel has given us in terms of agriculture, for instance, is very important.
Right.
Their know-how is spectacular, but basically it has to do also with values. We are a Judeo-Christian society, and President Cartes was the first one to move the embassy of Paraguay to Jerusalem in May of 2018. Then we had a mishap with President Abdo, but then President Peña, who is from our same political sector, from the same party, restored the embassy to Jerusalem
So you
again.
did it twice.
And I said to Ron Dermer, whom I met 2 weeks ago in Las Vegas at the Republican Jewish Coalition Summit, that if needed, we're going to do it 3. I think that it has to do also with our, we are a people where 99% are Christians. Majority is Catholic, some evangelicals.
Right.
But, and I mentioned this, when we go to Mass, we Catholic, and they go to their service, we read the Old Testament,
Of course.
which is their book. And Jerusalem, mentioned as the capital of everything, and where Jesus went up to, is mentioned every Sunday. So to us, it's not strange to understand that the eternal capital of Israel is Jerusalem. It was said by King David 3,000 years ago. And that's something that I think has to be mentioned. It's not that we do it out of convenience. We do it out of the heart.
Right, right.
No, digo que, independientemente, traduje un poquito lo que vos dijiste,
Sí.
¿verdad? Que también nosotros somos un pueblo donde el 99% es cristiano,
Sí.
con una mayoría católica, unos también hermanos evangélicos, y que nosotros los domingos, nosotros en nuestra misa y ellos en su servicio, leen el Antiguo Testamento. Y en el Antiguo Testamento se escucha que Jerusalén ya era la capital de Israel hace 3000 años, y bueno, y en el Nuevo Testamento Jesús siempre iba a Jerusalén, ¿verdad? Entonces, para nosotros el tema de que Jerusalén sea la capital de Israel es un tema histórico que no se puede discutir.
Sí.
So I've been asking questions for the last few minutes, but I don't want to make the mistake of not making sure that I offer each of you the opportunity to say something important that you think you need to get at. So I offer that opportunity to you now. Perhaps I've missed something completely, but I want to make sure that you get to deliver your message.
Chris dice que él nos ha venido haciendo preguntas, pero quiere saber si nosotros no queremos dejar testimonios de algo que él no nos haya preguntado. Entonces nos ofrece, digamos, como que el cierre a cada uno. Juan Carlos, ¿algo que quieras agregar?
Bueno, que estamos muy contentos de estar acá en Estados Unidos y muy contentos de que hoy, gracias a que el Paraguay goza de una estabilidad política, económica, tenemos la posibilidad de venir a ofrecer a nuestros compatriotas, en este caso, un programa de viviendas para que cuando retorne tenga ya su propia casa. Estamos muy agradecidos de tener esta acogida acá en el Paraguay. Estamos contentos hoy porque el Paraguay está muy bien representado en Estados Unidos con el embajador Leite, senador con permiso, que es parte de un proyecto político, de un partido político que apuesta a una larga amistad con los Estados Unidos. El Paraguay tiene una larga historia de amistad con los Estados Unidos y en particular el partido de gobierno, el Partido Colorado, presidido por el presidente Horacio Cartes, tiene una larga amistad con los Estados Unidos, igual que el gobierno del presidente Santiago Peña y del vicepresidente Pedro Aliana.
Another challenge, because he said many things, but
Yes.
in a nutshell, what Minister Baruja reiterates is that we're thankful to have the opportunity to be here, to present to our compatriots the opportunity to having a home at home,
Sure.
should they want to go back, or when they want to go back, they have their own home. And we have to also celebrate the good relationship, historical good relationship that we have with the U.S., starting from the time of our leader of our party, President Cartes, the leader of our country, President Peña, the Vice President Aliana. We are a pro-U.S., but not because we like the U.S., because we admire the institutionality of the U.S., and we admire the power and the development that the U.S. has achieved by adhering to the values of the founding fathers. And that's something that we look to. We would like to have the same standard of living as the U.S. This is my own intervention.
Sure.
And when it comes to my final remarks, I'll say something about it.
Sure.
But I'll pass it to my colleague, friend, Basilio Núñez, for his last remarks.
Me toca.
Te toca.
Bueno, antes que nada agradecerte, Cris, el espacio y destacar el trabajo que está realizando acá el colega senador y embajador Gustavo Leite. En poco tiempo creo que está haciendo lo que muchos diplomáticos lamentablemente no hicieron. Si puede traducir eso, puede continuar. Es muy importante.
It is very uncomfortable for me to translate a pitch of my good job here, supposedly. Supposedly I'm doing a good job.
Well, I believe it.
But I thank you very much.
Bueno, no, agrego, lo que está diciendo Juan Carlos creo que es muy cierto. Paraguay y Estados Unidos tienen años de amistad. Un ejemplo, Gustavo, nos estábamos acordando del laudo Hayes, 1878. En el año 1878, el presidente Hayes, luego de la guerra de la Triple Alianza de Paraguay contra Brasil, Argentina y Uruguay, falló a favor de Paraguay. Y en ese territorio donde casualmente yo nací, si no yo hubiese sido argentino. Entonces se llama ahora presidente Hayes. Pero presidente Hayes, que es un departamento de Paraguay, Gustavo, yo te pido como embajador a ver si podemos ver también una cooperación con el gobierno americano. Creo que nuestro país necesita avanzar en la parte educativa, de cooperación, de aprender también inglés para nuestros connacionales. Y un ejemplo, yo tengo un hijo que está estudiando acá, que vino por una beca deportiva y sin asistencia del gobierno.
He stresses the old friendship. 1878 was the arbitration of President Hayes.
Right?
Had it not been for President Hayes, he would have been born in Argentina. And ever since then, that part of Paraguay is called Presidente Hayes, which is President Hayes. It's our version of President Hayes. And he says that the biggest challenge probably is to get that part of Paraguay also more development, more educational opportunities, maybe an English program, because English is the world's language today. And he, for instance, has a son who is studying in Ohio on a sports scholarship without any assistance from the government or anything. And we need to, something that we didn't speak, and maybe I'll do my final remarks now. Paraguay also has a very successful educational cooperation program with the state of Kansas. It's called the Paraguay-Kansas Committee. Since the 60s, more than 5,000 Paraguayans went to Kansas State universities, paying in-state tuition. As opposed to 1,000 Paraguayans who went to Cuba, who we don't know what they studied. Some became very good doctors. But the guys and girls who went to Kansas, communists, they're not going to be.
Yeah.
They will not be communists. So enhancing those programs, I'm working on that. I have the instruction and my vision to have more states like Kansas to embrace a few Paraguayans every year with in-state tuition, because for us, getting to the amount that is needed to study in the U.S. is not for every Paraguayan. We need average Paraguayans to come here. That's why we also have a scholarship fund paid by the government, under which any Paraguayan who get accepted into the top universities in the world, we pay for their education.
That's fantastic.
With a provision. They have to come back to Paraguay to work for at least 5 years and pay back.
Yeah, sure.
We don't have a guaranteed student loan, but we do have a becal, which is the name of our scholarship program, named after the greatest president we have in Triple Alliance world, which is Carlos Antonio Lopez, the president that opened up Paraguay to the world. Well, my final remark is thank you, and he also said thank you very much for your time, for your interest. I think that having Judicial Watch taking interest in Paraguay is very good news for us. I think that you, your audience, us, we share conservative values.
It's a natural alliance.
It's a natural alliance, yes, and we need to fight to keep that, because we are under attack by NGOs used to be from the U.S., not anymore. Luckily, USAID funds were cut,
Basta finito.
terminated. But Europe is a problem. Hungary is suffering. I mean, we suffered that bombardment.
A lot of pressure.
But we're gonna hold our own. We're gonna hold our own. That would be my message. Thank you very much.
Well, my thanks to all three of you. And it's my hope that our audience gets a deeper appreciation of the shared values, the commonality between the United States and what we hold to be, or what we cherish as our values, and our good friends from Paraguay. And thank you so much for visiting us today.
Muchas gracias.
I'm Chris Farrell, on watch.